Hi, I'm Yuki. Let me explain. The biggest problem when traveling in a foreign country is the language. I also don't travel to foreign countries because I'm worried about the language. But Japan is fine. I'll explain to you why, and how to get through it in 3 English words. First of all, the Japanese are not very good at English. Let me explain the reason for this. One of the reasons for this is that the Japanese have a hearing problem. To put it very simply, the Japanese have a hard time hearing English pronunciation, especially the endings. This seems to be a brain thing. Of course, you can get by with training, but it's true. For example, Japanese police dogs, guide dogs and disaster rescue dogs are all trained in English. This is because English is easier for dogs to hear than Japanese. Also, only 2 peoples in the world, the Japanese and the Polynesians, can understand the sound of insects as a melody rather than as noise. This depends on whether the sound is judged by the right or left brain, but it can be changed through training. It's going to be difficult to talk about, so if you're interested, do your own research. Secondly, because English was hard to understand, so we taught Japanese English, which was improved in school education to make it easier to hear. This is so far removed from the original English that it is completely unusable in English-speaking countries. Furthermore, grammar was more important in the exam than conversation, which was a tragedy. In Japan, grammar was very important to study English. Even if you couldn't speak the language, if your grammar was correct, you could still get excellent grades. The Japanese are a serious perfectionist by nature, so they won't talk to an English speaker unless they can construct perfect grammar in their heads. Because I'm not confident in my grammar, my words become small and I speak in Japanese English. Let's get to the point. Here's the important part. Before I go any further, the instructions here are designed for first-time travelers to Japan. This is a dangerous conversation technique, so please do not watch it if you are studying Japanese. You'll get into a weird habit. In Japan, there is an English language that is unique to Japan that combines English words with each other if the general meaning of the words matches. This is an English language that can only be understood in Japan. This rough meaning is important in the explanation here. For example, iced coffee and cold coffee, which are commonly consumed in Japan, are called iced coffee in Japan. This is a direct translation of the word coffee with ice in it, so it's okay in Japan. If you put only the word like this, you can understand it in Japan. In other words, if only the noun is conveyed, the Japanese understand it, but if other words are added, they interrupt the noun and make it difficult to hear everything. Most importantly, Japanese people use English words with only nouns on a regular basis, so they know them surprisingly well. I'm not very good at pronouncing them, but as explained in the language section of this site, when communicating in Japan, it is important to make an effort to listen to the Japanese English used by the Japanese before understanding the Japanese language. So what about words that connect other than nouns? That's where body language comes in. Let me explain how to travel around Japan with just 3 English words. It's outrageous, but I managed to get the message across. First, remember this definition. 1. Speak slowly and gently. 2. The Japanese are seriously trying to understand the other person. 3. Japanese people try to understand the other person by the changes in his or her face and body movements. 4. To understand the Japanese English words, think of it as a puzzle game, and be flexible in putting words together. The 3 English words needed in Japan are what, help and how much. All the questions and unknowns that arise in Japan are what. If you have a problem or issue, even a simple one, help. It's how much when money is involved. After that, please use common sense and at least add yes, no and thank you. Now I'm going to demonstrate using 3 words and the definition of 1.2.3.4. Example 1, you enter a restaurant and want to order, but there is no menu in English. There are 4 of us here, but one of us is not hungry and won't eat. When you first enter the restaurant, use the 3 definition and hold up 4 fingers. Now the waiter understands that there are 4 of you. A waiter will show you to your seat. When you get seated, look at the menu, but it's in Japanese, so say help to your waiter. However, use the 1.3 definition and say help slowly with a smile because you need help. At this point, you can lift the menu with one hand to convey more of the message. The waiter sees you smiling with a menu and thinks, I think I said help. He understands that you can't understand the menu. Sometimes I bring an English-speaking clerk with me at this time, but I'll pretend they didn't come here. The waiter will come to your table to explain the menu. The waitresses don't speak English, so they explain Japanese English with their expressions. Spicy food comes with an expression of having eaten spicy food. Please interact with them calmly. The clerk thinks the foreigner is in trouble and will explain things to you properly. Once you've decided, you can order. Of the 4 of us, 1 of us won't eat, 2 of us will have the same dish, 1 of us will order a different dish. First, for 2 identical dishes, point to the dish on the menu, then point to the 2 people ordering it, and finally hold up 2 fingers. The remaining one's food also points to the name of the dish from the menu, points to the person ordering it, and holds up 1 finger. The other one will not order, so point to that person and make an X with both hands. You are now done ordering the menu. When you order, the waiter does not make a mistake and brings the dish in front of the person who ordered it because he is pointing to who ordered what. If you're eating and the table runs out of water and you need more water, just lift your cup and look at the waitress with a smile and she'll bring you a glass of water. By the way, the water in Japan is free to drink. Finish eating and pay. Raise your hand and call the clerk and say how much. In some places, you can't pay at a table and you may pay near the entrance of the restaurant. No need to worry about that either, as the clerk will guide you. Now we could eat with just 3 English words. Example 2, if you get lost along the way. Show a slightly lost face and say help to a passerby and point to a map or phone screen of where you want to go. If you are Japanese, they will definitely teach you. If they can't teach you, then they are either in a hurry or they are from another country that looks just like the Japanese. Example 3, if you're walking around town or at a tourist attraction and you see something strange and you want to know what it is. Say what to someone passing by, or someone who you are sure is Japanese, and they will tell you in Japanese English. If you want to know how much things cost, it's how much, but you won't be charged if you just ask, so don't worry. If an emergency arises, don't shout extra English, just press a troubled face and say help calmly and slowly over and over again. There is always a Japanese person nearby who will come to your aid. If they think it's an emergency, they will call the police or an ambulance. If you've never been to Japan before, you won't believe it, but this is the country of Japan and it's a normal part of Japanese behavior. As you can see, in Japan you can get around with 3 words, but I think that's because it's Japan. However, this is certainly not enough to make you feel comfortable, so we have a more detailed explanation in Japanese in the Simple Japan section of this site. So, thank you for watching.